Kathy is the Chairman, CEO, and Chief Designer of Kathy Ireland Worldwide. She's known to many of us for many things, but she is recognized as one of the most important, incredible voices in the world of fashion. In fact, has been recognized as such by Fairchild Industries as one of the 50 most influential people in the fashion world. So with that, may I please bring up to the stage Kathy Ireland.
I'm grateful for that long ago modeling career. I felt that if I didn't close the door on that chapter of my life, I might not live my dream of design and business. The brand, it's about our customer and serving her. She cares about her solutions and what our team can bring to her to make her life better. To build it from the ground up and to recognize that each impression with us, it's a lasting brand impression. You have control over that.
I have committed myself to the war on AIDS.
Anyone can be attacked. It is not just a minority disease. It belongs to all of us.
It's hard for any of us to imagine the kind of fame that she had. She was determined to use it for good. I feel so blessed to have gotten to be a part of her life. I had the privilege of getting to learn from her, to experience life with her and her philanthropy. Elizabeth Taylor was fearless and she loved people. Her courage, I think, is something we can all learn from.
I will love you unconditionally.
I accept this award in honor of all the men, women, and children with AIDS who are waging incredibly valiant battles for their lives.
Of all her accolades and awards, her Jean Herschel Humanitarian Award meant the most. She asked us to carry on the torch and carry on the fight. There are people who are dying of AIDS, despite the fact that we have medicines. There are people who don't have access to them, and we must not sit idly by. Elizabeth Taylor teaches all of us there's much work to be done, and we cannot stop until it's accomplished.
So the video is very appropriate since that's how, that was our connection, right?
I'm so grateful to Elizabeth for so many things, but something, Terry, that Elizabeth often spoke about was Terry is a man of integrity. And Elizabeth is so direct, so blunt. I love that about her, just transparent, but she spoke so highly of you. And, you know, we've been listening to just incredible leaders and stories. A common thread that we're hearing is it's about people and who you work with. And I just believe life is too short to not have wonderful, great people in our life. So Elizabeth encouraged me to reach out to you and to write you a letter, and you so graciously responded, and so I'm so grateful for Elizabeth for that.
I think anyone would have responded, frankly.
No, but thank you.
But I do thank Elizabeth for bringing us together, and we were all together in this fight against AIDS, and you know, it's also a fight that's not over. Because there's still much work to be done, but it's one of those subjects that has sort of gotten out of the front page of news, and therefore the funding is disappearing as well, and it's harder and harder to raise money for this fight. So I'm glad there are people like you who are carrying on the fight to help eradicate this disease.
Oh, thank you, and you too. Thank you for everything. I mean, my goodness. The work with Macy's that you did for this, just incredible in your ongoing work, you and Tina. great
Well,
leaders.
let's start with just talking about your give back sort of methodology, because there's as I didn't even read them off here, but you're involved with a number of different charitable organizations, and tell me what you're passionate about in that regard, and why you spend so much time doing it.
You know, as I've gotten older, so many lessons I've learned the hard way. And, you know, for many years we were able to build our brand beneath the radar. And as a private person owning a private company, that really suited me fine. Forbes and others in the media
They changed
out
that.
of our brand. And,
They changed that.
they changed it, and it forced me to step out of my shy and selfish shell and connect with others, and recognizing that what a blessing it is to be exposed to needs that are so much bigger than us, and to opportunities that are so much bigger than us. And when we recognize the needs and the opportunities out there, we realize that comfort is absolutely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. And our team, we had the privilege of working with the UN with their youth program. The Millennium Development Goals, everything from eradicating hunger, disease, poverty, supporting education, environmental sustainability. Our company has added 2 more initiatives, and that is supporting our military and their families, and also the fight against human trafficking. Human trafficking is the fastest growing illegal business on earth. Unlike drugs, human beings can be sold over and over and over again. And for all of us who work in manufacturing and retail, it's critical to recognize that tragically, when human beings are no longer profitable in the sex slave trade, they're often sold into forced labor. Surprise factory inspections, that's how we began our brand with a single pair of socks 26 years ago. It's something that we continue today. But just for all of us to be alert. And so to answer your question, something that makes it exciting for us today, and even though we're 26 years old as a brand, we feel like we're a baby brand just getting started. There's so much to do. But our getting to know you process, our vetting process, when we're considering a new partner, we share that list of goals. And it's so interesting to see the response. Usually, the company will be already involved in one of these initiatives, or they'll be interested. And we don't dictate a monetary amount. It can be a volunteer day, but just something so that we know that in success, we are moving forward in a tangible way. The vision for our company is teach, inspire, empower, make our world better. So in success, we can truly make a difference. Once in a while, we'll get somebody who looks at the list and they'll say, no, we're not interested in anything here. And that lets us know not to waste each other's time, and that we're not going to be a good fit. But many organizations that our company vets and encourages others to support as well.
Let's talk about the business, the Kathy Ireland worldwide business. Talk about the products that you make. Talk about your partners, your retail partners who you sell to, and just give us a sense about your business.
Thank you. Well, we started in '93 with a single pair of socks.
Why socks? After you being on the cover of all these fashion magazines and swimsuit, edition of Sports Illustrated, that's something I just couldn't imagine you being actually wearing socks.
Well, you're very kind. You're very kind, Terry. The publications I worked for were amazing. I was okay, and at this point in my life, I was an aging pregnant model at my kitchen table. And to tell the truth, I was actually offered the opportunity to model this pair of socks. And it's not quite as glamorous as it sounds. It was a little budget, no exotic location, no photo retouch. We didn't know if they were going to use my face. It might have just been, crop and get the feet. But it was a job, and it was at a time when not a lot of job offers were coming my way. The entire time I worked as a model, it wasn't my plan. Grateful it ended up being a great education. Thought maybe I could save money for college or to start a business. Tried and failed many businesses along the way. Had one of those businesses taken off, the modeling career wouldn't have gone on as long. I felt like if I didn't shut the door on that chapter of my life, I might not live my dream of design and business. Loved the people, John and Marilyn Moretz from Hickory, North Carolina. They just good people. And so we began the process. John Carrasco, who's here with us, our genius global creative director, after family-based focus groups, really, loving these socks. And I love what Jill said about diversity. We have a wonderfully diverse team. When I worked as a model, people said, you're so cheap, why don't you buy better clothes, drive a better car, this and that. I prefer to think of it as being fiscally frugal, and I was investing in people, putting a team together, people with different gifts who would become our marketing officer, our creative director, just all these different gifts that I was not strong at, different perspectives, but when it comes to what's really important, we're all on the same page. So, surprise factory inspections, what's going on behind the scenes, how are people being treated at every level. And we love these people. So we started with a pair of socks. Some said it was counterintuitive. Some said it was stupid. They said you can't start a brand with a pair of socks. You should start with swim because of modeling. But that would have been too obvious. And I felt that we wanted to build a real brand, something that was not dependent on any little smidgen of celebrity I might have had in the last century, but a real solid brand. And that's why it's a lowercase k, lowercase I intentionally, not about me. It's about our customer. John and I, we loaded our backpacks, hit the road, presented our socks to retailers, doors slammed in our faces, and we heard everything from, we love the socks, but who needs you? Can't start a brand with a pair of socks. In the early days, we slept in airports sometimes to save money, and sometimes people think that's a big deal, and it's not. And particularly to the young people out there, I encourage you, whatever material thing you have to give up to live your dream, it's not a sacrifice, it's a bold investment, and that bold investment made it possible for us to sell our 100 millionth pair of socks.
You hear that? 100 million. That's just the sock business. Tell us about the other products that are in the Kathy Ireland worldwide assortment.
Apparel, fashion, handbags, jewelry. Diamonds by Kathy Ireland are $2,000 to $10,000. Patented setting, and then our estate pieces, Kathleen Marie, Paul Rapps, New York. Again, just incredible people that I have the privilege of working with. Pet products, was talking with JK. We love PetSmart, but just wonderful designs, the home industry. And we work at various channels of distribution. Weddings, our company has design studios and estates throughout the world, Fiji, Greece, Hawaii, where we produce weddings. We've been quietly doing this for decades. We learn so much about our customer on this most critical day. If we can earn that trust, then perhaps they'll trust us as they're nesting and purchasing furniture for their home. FinTech, an area that is critically important to me. Insurance. We work with some extraordinary people and really leveling the playing field. I think for so many years, we didn't see women in this area, and people, I think, oftentimes try to put women in boxes, and just, we don't fit in boxes. We're too odd-shaped for that. Working in the entertainment industry with some extraordinary people. Education, that's a passion of mine as well, and educational toys and children. Wonderful, wonderful products and companies and people who were wonderfully diverse, but again, when it comes to what's really important, this group, they honor that vision of teach, inspire, empower, make our world better, and just working with great quality products and services.
Do you worry with all of the categories that you're involved with and that you've just described? You worry about the Kathy Ireland brand being too spread out? I mean, for you to keep control over all of the things you must keep control of to keep your brand intact.
Yes, and I think one of my biggest mistakes early on was that fear. and allowing that fear to stop me. But I felt like I don't want to grow too quickly, and I don't. I never want to. I never want to react too quickly. We've got to do that getting to know you process. But that fear kept me from growing because I felt like, particularly with, we were speaking yesterday about, I was sharing with you, my dad worked for labor relations
unions, yeah.
and with Cesar Chavez, and how people are treated has always been at the forefront of my mind. We have the toughest human rights clause that I'm aware of, and I always share with people, if you know something's stronger, better, we need it. Please share it with us. So there was some who said, you've got to stop talking about this. You've got to stop talking about human trafficking and all the rest, because there will be situations, there'll be a subcontracting situation. People will break your rules, your laws. And we work with manufacturers domestically and abroad, and something will happen. And my response to that is, that's why I was slow to grow for so long. What I recognize is, if we stay small and somebody breaks our contract and they do something, even if it's fine in a different country, but it's not okay with us,
Right.
they can dismiss us. They can say, well, fine, we've got other people that we're working with. But if we have some leverage in growth and in success, we have an opportunity to initiate positive change. So that motivates our team to grow and to grow well. And to whatever reason, if there is an incident like that, whatever someone's motive might be, my response is thank you. If you can help shine a light on something that's going on that needs to change, we're grateful for that information.
Backing up now, just to when you got your start. So I understand what you said about wanting to put your modeling career, that chapter behind you as you launched into your business career, if that's the right description. So, but was there something in your modeling career that helped you have perhaps the confidence, or there were some skills that you learned along the way that made you confident that you could actually lead a business?
Yes, and the biggest gift I learned from that modeling career was all the rejection. And I didn't appreciate it at the time, but when the doors would slam on our faces, when the phone would hang up, and every kind of comment you can imagine, it didn't bother me. It didn't destroy me. I was so used to that. And when somebody would say no, my response was, well, at least we're talking. I'll come back tomorrow. Maybe your circumstances will have changed. Maybe you'll be in a better mood. And to all the young people out there, I encourage you, if someone's blocking you, ask questions. And we heard that today. It's like, learn from it. And that's something that we do. When somebody says no, I want to understand why. What can we do better? How is our price to value ratio? Is it correct for you? How are our designs, our quality, everything? But learn, and then I encourage you to go back. Maybe not the next day like I did. I think it was a little stalky, but maybe if you put in your calendar 6 months later to check back, because maybe and you touched on this with Marvin earlier, maybe the person who is empowered, who is blocking you, may no longer be in that position. And maybe the person will be in a better mood. So if you believe in what you're doing, learn, always do better, but don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams.
I can personally attest to your persistence.
And thank you. Thank you for your graciousness.
And recall our early conversations when we shifted from Elizabeth to talking about business, the Kathy Ireland business and Macy's, and my saying, you already have a distribution, and it's not in Congress with my distribution, and therefore, I'm not so sure this was going to work out. And I remember you saying, thanks very much. I think he called me the next day. So then let's continue the conversation. And so there was a lot of persistence, and Macy's now has got Kathy Ireland product. And
Thank you.
so that that style of that you have is very effective. Because I honestly didn't think I thought we were going to be friends. I didn't think we were going to be in business, but you had a different idea. So you started in sporting goods stores and Kmart. You started with some difficult, challenging distribution. And so talk about that and how over time the business evolved.
So when we started selling the socks in the early days, we were in a handful of sporting goods stores, Big Five, and Kmart started carrying our socks. First year we were still in the red, but people were buying, so we were really encouraged. And this team that I put together, we thought, let's take something basic like a sock and see what we can bring as far as fashion and innovation. If women embrace this will tell us we're onto something. The socks started moving. The CEO called me in one day to inform me that the socks were a blowout. And our first child, our son, was just born, and a blowout had a really different meaning. And so I looked a little mortified. He said, no, this is really good. It means the product is moving out faster than it's coming in. We would like exclusivity at this channel of distribution. We grew our brand to include a complete line of apparel and accessories. And as our brand grew, our spending also grew. And so many lessons, but we had bigger, fancier offices than we truly needed. The airport sleepovers were long gone. And our banks, our financial advisors, assured us that our spending was far below the norm for a company our size. Then I get a phone call about the bankruptcy, and just this avalanche of reality. Then one of our bankers calls to
Kmart, you're saying back.
Yes.
Kmart bankruptcy.
Kmart bankruptcy, yes, back in 2002. And one of our bankers called to set up a lunch, and he was calling the situation. And I had enjoyed lunch with our bankers on several occasions, always sharing our business plan. This time was so different. The tone, everything, and
because they were your, if not only, primary customer and source of income, right?
They were, and what a powerful lesson that was. The bank told us that, he just said, you and your partners are personally responsible for the entire liability. If this doesn't work out, we can take away all your homes. And I should have known better, because at that moment in time, we had 37 team members with families on our payroll. And we had already made plans there were other areas we wanted to move into. We had been working on moving into the home area. And Kmart was covered with a lovely lady in soft goods home. So we had made plans to move outside that channel of distribution. Yes.
I think her name was Martha Stewart, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yes. And many lessons from Martha, my goodness. I mean, that's a brand. She's endured doing some time and still coming out and having a brand.
That's right.
That's a brand. Not dependent upon a person and their circumstance. Anyway, it's bigger than her.
So they were bankrupt.
So
that was your big source of income. You have this lunch with the bankers. They tell you that they're going to take all of your homes and everything else, all your assets, if this doesn't work out.
All of that.
So what happened?
So we stayed with that retailer. I'm never going to walk away from someone during difficult times. And my heart's still broken for the thousands of people who lost their jobs, their stock, their insurance. So many tragedies there. We were in debt, and we were starting all over. And they did share that our brand was the most lucrative for them because of our payment structure. And we've never been a corporate mandate. That was never our business model. And so the dollars spent on advertising for us were so much smaller, so we had great margins. So we were able to be helpful to this company, and grateful for that opportunity. We were in debt starting all over, and our channel of distribution for our home products. And at this time, there weren't people, Martha had a wonderful soft goods home business, but there weren't people known for other careers like that. I mean, we both had, Martha and I both had modeling careers, but there weren't people who were known for other things, designing and selling furniture. And again, that was something that was laughed at. You can't do that. But nobody had a good reason why. And so we went to the independent channel. They said, you can't start at mass and go up. It's never been done. I think one of the reasons we were able to build our brand beneath the radar for so long is because typically the larger retailers, there's a big ad budget, and while people were buying awareness, we were building relationships one at a time. It's a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and it's wonderful because you learn so much. And each retailer being so different, the needs are different, and then bumping into 2008 and all of that, and being able to work with retailers to figure out how can we come alongside these businesses, many of them family businesses, been around for generations, always done things the same way. How can we help them to think differently, to think intuitively and intentionally, and not just the way things have been done, not being forced to react to change, but to be people who will initiate change and be anticipatory in that way.
Right. And so today, so how big did that furniture business get to? I know it was very, very large, and you had a particular independent, or was it an independent furniture retailer who you did business with?
Just that
Or
the
multiple.
independents were our chain, so multiple partners. So Irv Blumpkin, if anybody is familiar with Mrs. B, if you're not, to all the students, please look her up, because what an inspiration. Rose Blumpkin started the Nebraska Furniture Mart and came to this country virtually penniless. And then there's this legendary handshake deal in the 80s that she had with Warren Buffett.
Right.
And just, she created such an amazing empire. And I'll never forget my first furniture market. I was very, very nervous. And Mr. Irv Blumpkin shows up, and he's Mrs. B's grandson. I never had the privilege of meeting Mrs. B, and she's no longer with us. But Irv shows up, and he's really stony-faced, and he's, looking around, and he sees our team, and he's thinking I have an entourage. It's like, I don't even have an assistant. No, everybody's a team member doing their role. And he says, Kathy takes me through the showroom alone. She knows her stuff or she doesn't. If she doesn't, I'm telling everybody. And if she does, we'll see. And so I took a deep breath, walked him through, and so glad that we worked hard and did our homework. And Irv bought, and he and his wife Susie continue to be great friends. They gave us a chance, and I'm so grateful. And Terry, I'm so grateful to you, because at a time when many people were not taking our brand seriously because they were making fun of us because we came from mass and or my modeling background, just different things, but you also gave us a chance, and I'm so grateful to, and I encourage all of you. We've talked about trust a lot today too, and that's so powerful because it takes a very long time to earn, and it can be lost instantaneously. And I'm so grateful to work with such great people, our business partners today. We've been together for 30 years, except for our millennials and our Gen Z, who were not born when we started. But how great it is to go through difficult times with people, because everyone can be lovely when things are going well, but when they're not, you find out what people are made of. And when you find great people, you hang on to them. And so
We
I'm
also
so
have talked
grateful.
about, and we talked about at this conference actually, that you don't learn nearly as much in good times as you learn in bad times, and
Yeah.
that you've already described some of the difficult times you've had and the education that you got out of that. So as you think about what you've learned over the years, what is it? What's next for you? So what you know, with all these things that you've accumulated, is it just to continue to run what you've got now and do it better, or is there something even bigger on the horizon for you?
We always want to learn. We always want to do better and grow. But I mean, we're looking beyond borders, beyond dreams. We want to work in areas that have not yet been invented and thought of. So it keeps it exciting. But continuing to work with great people, that's what I love. Something that I learned from my dad, powerful lesson that sticks with us today. When I was a kid, one of the many jobs I had was a paper route.
Me too.
And who did you deliver the paper for?
It was Lakewood, California. So I don't even know anymore. It was the Lakewood News, I think it was. But I was on a bicycle back then. So.
Yeah, me too. Bicycle and.
These kids are going, what?
Why would they
do
do
that? Why would they do that?
What's a paper carrier? Well, you know, and Warren Buffett as well had a paper route. Each year, he at the top of his shareholders meeting, he invites me in the newspaper tossing competition with him. He's so good. He practices.
He practices.
But he doesn't let me use rubber bands because he says that in his day they didn't use rubber bands, and so. It's hard. It's really hard.
That's an art. That's an art.
But to see how hard he works. But my dad, when I finally came of age, my dad shoves this newspaper under my nose. And the ad, and I couldn't wait to have this route. And the ad said, "Newspaper carrier wanted. Are you the boy for the job?" And so Dad knew what reaction that was going to get. I wrote to the paper, "No, I'm the girl for the job. I can do it just as well as any boy." First day, New Year's Day, papers are extra thick, and I'm a really scrawny 11-year-old. What have I gotten myself into? I'm pedaling up this hill. Notice this man at the end of his driveway, and he's just clearly agitated. I thought, oh, poor guy's having a hard day. I'll give him his newspaper. And as I hand him his paper, he starts yelling at me. You know, "What are you doing here? This is a boy's job. You have no business being here. You're never going to last." And I didn't let him see me cry, but to this day, I'm really, really grateful because there were a lot of days I wanted to quit. And I mean, what would that do to the next girl who would want such a responsibility? I held on to it for 3.5 years, and each year I won Carrier of the Year from my district. And what my dad told
I'm
me.
not surprised.
But thank you. The lesson that my dad taught me, he said, "Kathy, always give 110%. If the customer expects the paper on the driveway, you put it on the front porch." And so that's the foundation of learning to underpromise and over-deliver. And so as we move forward in all the areas that we want to move forward in and that we're excited about and passionate about, we look at that, you know, under-promising, over-deliver. Is this a good fit for us? Are we able to do that? Some say it's counterintuitive, but I look at it as consider others as more important than yourself. What could we bring to this relationship? If we're considering a partnership, how are we going to make you better? Not like what's in it for us, but what can we do for you? And when we're approaching it that way, it just works, and it works beautifully, and it makes it fun. And I never had a family business, but today we have a business family, and I believe when you treat the people you work with the way you want your family members treated, there's no limit to what you can accomplish together.
And first of all, I've asked you a number of times, and you never answer this question. And I asked it already. How big is your business? And I think I keep trying to get this answer, and I never seem to get the answer. And Forbes didn't get it either. So
I know.
all I can tell you is that since she's been on the cover of Forbes, it's a huge business that you and your team manage. Are you going to tell me the answer to that?
Well, one of the joys of being a private company
Here we go.
we're private. I mean, others have, you know, and actually with Forbes, they said we love them. They're wonderful people, but they said, we've been watching you, and we're going to do this cover story with or without your participation. And because my last job description was shut up and pose, I reject that today. It's like, no, if you're going to do it, I'd like to participate. Thank you. But I don't look at success in terms of dollars, but rather sense, common sense, how you treat people, and in that respect, our company we have the best people and the best hearts doing some awesome things, so it's huge.
There we go. I'm going to ask, because I want to make sure I get time in for questions from the audience, and I particularly want hopefully the students who I know have got some questions to raise your hand, and let's get to the microphones and let us know. We can't see you particularly well, so you're going to have to guide us where you are. Any questions? I see over here. Okay.
Kathy, thank you so much for being here. I'm a proud alumna of the program, and what you said about being a private company and your advice is fantastic. And I'm wondering, as an owner of a private company, how do you deal with the return to vendors and contracts as you're entering new partnerships with the department store and mass retail? Because that's very difficult, the return to vendors. So I'm just curious how you deal with that.
Thank you. And what is your name?
My name's Whitney Wilkening.
Wendy, well, it's wonderful to meet you, and thank you for that question. And I mean, first of all, one of the things that I love about being a private company is it gives us control. And I've been accused of being a control freak. I prefer to think of it as passionate, but there's many.
What do you guys think?
But there's many decisions. I mean, Wall Street they want to see results every 90 days. And there's a lot of decisions that I make that are more long-term, and they would not fly on Wall Street at all. Walked away from millions. But in answer to your question, the way we address that, it's really one relationship at a time. And it's working with our incredible team and engaging with people and being transparent. And I wish I had a really easy formula, and I don't know of one, except something that I have learned. I've learned the power of delegating, and that's been hard for me. I think sometimes as women we try to do everything, but I work with a wonderful team, and so that helps because that can be consuming. But it's really listening to each person we're in business with, hearing their needs and addressing them in something that we've talked a lot about today, not in an institutionalized way, but in a real individualized way. Thank you.
I have a question right here.
Oh, thank you. A note. Oh, thank you. This is my wonderful team who I love. And thank you. And it's reminding me to thank all of our incredible sponsors. So, I mean, this wouldn't be here without everyone from the Kenneth Mink team, Nourison, Rugs.
How great are you?
Available at Macy's, the Gander Group, and Nourison. These are our designs. So thanks, you guys. It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
thank
always
you.
Working.
I love
But
it.
thank you, and thank you, and thank you.
Was there another question?
Gander, awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
have a question
Yes.
right here in the middle.
Oh, hi.
Hi. My name's Taylor. I'm a senior in the Retailing Consumer Science program.
Hi, Taylor.
Hi. So I've been to the Global Retailing Conference 2 years now. Last year was super inspirational, but this year was great because we have a lot more women speakers, which I love. Something that both you and Jill touched on was being an innovator and being a woman in business. And Sarah Quinlan recently spoke to our class, and she said that currently only 5% of women hold CEO spots, and it is declining. So although we are becoming more and more aware that women are appropriate in business, how do you think we can stand out? Because I refuse to believe that I only have a 5% chance of being a CEO someday.
I agree with you, Taylor, by the way.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering what skills or what opportunities that we should take advantage of so that I can get to a spot like you, Jill, or Sarah someday.
Well, Taylor, you are going to do so much more. I know that. You're here. You're here and you're getting this education. My goodness, the mistakes I could have avoided had I been at this wonderful place and had this I'm so grateful that you have this. And fight for it. Don't give up. I encourage you, Taylor, don't allow anyone to put you in a box or to put limits on you. I am far too odd-shaped. I don't fit in anybody's box, and I won't get in one until I'm 6 feet under. Don't let them do that to you. And please don't allow anyone to dismiss you. Refute you, yes. Always allow that. Allow people to, don't be with yes people. Be with people who will challenge you and tell you how you can get better and how you can grow. But please don't let anyone dismiss you. I encourage you to ask questions and keep asking until you get your answers. When someone says no, ask why. And when they say yes, ask how. How are you able to manufacture this sock at such a great value? Ask how. Get the hows answered. And then I encourage other questions I encourage is really to know what you want, to kind of figure it out. And this will change as you move on in your career, but what do you want? And what are you going to do when you have it? How are you going to get it? And when? What's your time and action calendar look like? Imagination without implementation is hallucination. And the most successful CEOs and entrepreneurs I know, both male and female, are the ones who take the dream and the vision in one hand and the strategy in the other, and they allow them both to bring that vision and that dream into a reality. And some people have both skill sets. They're creative and they've got the strategy, but if you don't, it's okay to ask for help, and just don't let anyone put you in a box. Yeah, thank you.
Good question. We probably have time for one more. Then I'll just close it here with you, Kathy, and just say, is there any final advice that you'd give, particularly to the students, other than the advice you just gave to Taylor? Is there anything else that you would advise someone who's graduating here in May or a year from May? What advice would you give to them that you haven't already?
Let's see. I was 40 before I learned that no is a complete sentence. No thank you is better, but no is good. And sometimes we have to say no to good things in an effort to say yes to great things. And something that I feel very strongly about is know your values. Understand what your values are, your priorities. If you haven't taken the time to think about it, please do. What do you believe and why? Have conviction for what you believe, because they will be challenged. And for me, it's my faith, it's my family, and then it's being of service through the work. And the minute my priorities are out of order, I'm a disaster and I'm not effective at anything. It just doesn't work. So I encourage you, please figure out your values, your priorities, put boundaries in place to protect them. Know what you would be willing to be fired for. And if it's your own company, whether traditional or nonprofit, know what you'd walk away from. I mean, just know what that is, and know where you will not compromise. Know what battles to fight and which ones, and enjoy the journey, because it can be wonderful. It's how we approach it that makes all the difference in the world. And work with great people. Find them. They're out there. You might find them in unconventional places. One of our team members was spotted in a grocery store in the produce section, someone who had a great eye for the displays. And somebody said, you're going to be on the design team. And so just don't put blocks up. Be open. There's wonderful people to work with, and find them and go for your dreams. Work hard.
Kathy Ireland, been a pleasure to have you here with us,
Thank you,
and thank you for
Terry.
everything. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.